What's up, everyone? It's Jen's birthday today. Okay, guys, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jen. Happy birthday to you.
You and me. Early birthday for me.
Guys.
Oh, well, so I'm sorry that you are sick on your birthday and currently have no floors. How is the floor progress?
There's no progress. Let's be real. There's no progress. I haven't had time. I know it's something I have
Jen, you must make time.
I know.
Otherwise, I will accompany you and we will go together, which is also fine.
Here's where we're going to tonight. 14 Guildford Road. Wow, there's a weird looking van out here.
Looks like our logo.
Holy shit, I like that van. It's a VW.
Is it?
Yeah, look, VW.
I have never seen one of those before.
Yeah, me neither.
It feels pretty rare. So if that's the case, are we across the pond? Okay, the car gave it away.
What?
That we're not in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've never seen one of those here.
Well, you see a lot of these Fiats.
Yeah, you
What
do
is
see
this?
a lot of
You don't know
Fiats.
what this is?
Is it a Saab?
No, I think it's an Audi TT.
Oh, an Audi TT?
That's what it's called.
A TT.
Where's all the big jacked up trucks?
Yeah, they don't have them over there. Remember that episode of It's Always Sunny when they go to Ireland, though, and they find that big truck?
Tonight, we're going to 14 Guildford Road, right off Grove Hill Road in the UK. What?
I said the UK.
We're going to Tunbridge.
All right.
Toon Day. Do you know what a Toon Day is, Jen? Sunday, June 23rd, 1987 is when I'm starting the story. The Knell family, Knell, Knell family, was having a 58th birthday party for Bill, the father of the family. Bill has two daughters, and they were both there, Jane and Wendy. Bill's daughter left the party. Wendy left the party a little bit early. She told her mother that she wouldn't make her usual Monday visits to see Bill this week since they're doing it on Sunday anyway. This was on a Sunday. So basically, she's not coming tomorrow, but she'll be there on Tuesday. All right. What we know about what happened after this is, well, we know that's the last time the Knell family will ever see their daughter Wendy alive again. We know that her boyfriend had dropped her off at her home. So Wendy lives right here in this little apartment. Now, we're going to talk about her a little bit, and this was in 1987, so I may have looked a little different. But this is known as a bed sit. All right, a bed sit is basically, it's an apartment, is basically a long-term rent hostel. So it's your own apartment, studio apartment, but you share a bathroom with the whole floor.
Okay.
So it's like a hostel, but an apartment.
Okay.
And apparently those things, like after World War II, they were really popular. And in 1987, I guess they were still there. I don't know.
Okay.
It's probably apartments now, honestly.
Yeah.
But in 1987, it was a bed sit. We know that Wendy Knell's boyfriend dropped her off around 10 p.m. right in front of her home, her apartment. And that's the last time that anyone has seen her alive. Police call the Knells on Monday and say, hey, we're going over to your daughter's house because she is not responding. She is a manager of a photo print shop. Super Snaps. She is the manager for Super Snaps, and she didn't show up on Monday.
Okay.
So the management gets worried, the parents are contacted, the police are contacted, and then now we're back at that apartment I just showed you on Google Earth, 14 Guildford Road on Monday. All right. This is from the Daily Telegraph.
There were police there, and this young policeman grabbed hold of me, whipped my arm up behind my back, and said, I'm sorry, I must ask you to come into the car, and frog marched me to the police car. Then a policeman with a peaked cap came along and said, I'm sorry, there's a young lady in the bed sit and she's dead. In the afternoon, I had to go and identify her. My son Philip went with me. I thought I was going to walk into the room and they would say, are you ready? And they'd pull a drawer out. But as soon as I opened the door, there she was, covered in a sheet. You could see her face. She was bruised and one eye about, but the policeman said it often looked like that. I shall never get over seeing her like that. It didn't do me any good.
If you're asked to go identify the body, you would think they would pull the drawer out, with the body in the drawer. But she was just saying right here.
Yeah.
She was just right there. So this is Wendy Nell right here. Can you describe her? She looks a lot like Jen.
Yeah, kind of, actually. She looks like my cousin.
So she is a Caucasian female, white female. I guess Caucasian's actually not the right word. With brownish reddish hair. Mm-hmm. What would you say her age would be, Jen? What do you think?
Maybe like 27.
All right. Tonight we're talking about the Wendy Nell murder. It was a rather gruesome murder, to say the least. When the police showed up at her apartment, at her bedsit, that's when they found her body had been through a terrible rape ordeal. She was naked, bloody, and cause of her death was strangulation. She was also raped post-mortem.
Oh, God.
Which is a big clue. Police see Wendy's body. She's naked. She's bloody. She's been through a terrible rape ordeal. When neighbors were questioned, even though this is a bedsit, like a hostel, very thin walls, no one heard a thing. There was a footprint on the cuff of her white blouse, though, that you can see here.
It almost looks like it's part of the pattern, but not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, I will kind of spoil it a little bit. The perp, or at least his shoes, were found eventually, and you can see that it matches. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can blow it up. You see how it matches perfectly? Pretty cool, eh? They found like the perfect spot where it matched.
Yeah. Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
That must have taken a lot of time.
No, probably like a minute or two.
Stop it. You're such an asshole sometimes.
There was a footprint on the cuff of her white blouse, a bloody fingerprint on the shopping bag. This is before most of the fingerprint technology was, before the database. I can't remember what it's called, that database of the fingerprints. There was a bloody fingerprint on the shopping bag. Wendy's diary and her keys had been missing. The diary is actually interesting because it was postulated by the mother, actually, that perhaps the killer took the diary because there was something incriminating in the diary. If we go back to Wendy's background, this 25-year-old divorcee, she lived alone, and she's from what everyone says, a sweet girl. She met the man that she really wanted to marry. However, this guy, his name was Andy, it only lasted 18 months. He made her get 2 jobs. He didn't want to show up for his job. She really wanted to start a family. That's what she's been wanting all of her life. Then he decides he don't want to start a family, and then things start getting rough. 18 months later, they're divorced. So her marriage did not work like she wanted it to. And now she's 25 years old. She's divorced. She's living in an apartment. She's a manager, but at a small print shop, She does have a boyfriend now. That's the guy who dropped her off. And in fact, the boyfriend was looked at as a suspect because around the time when she was dropped off, or when she would have been murdered in her home, there was loud motorcycle revving going on. And the boyfriend rides motorcycles. So he was looked at, but he was eventually thrown off the suspect list.
Okay.
What's really interesting about this, this is a terrible, horrific rape murder, but I did find something that I kind of want to go into really quick. Is obviously a close-knit family, and unfortunately, the father, Bill, died 2017, I believe, so he'll never know who killed his daughter. Now, we do know now who killed the daughter, but if he would have just lived a few more years, he would have gotten to see, who did this. But anyway, him and Pam Nell, they actually, before the murder, moved to a bigger house so Pam can enjoy a bigger garden. She loved to garden. She loved to grow things. and this was their forever home. They loved it. However, they move into this house with a bigger garden. Her daughter is brutally murdered not even a year later. Then she begins ripping out the garden. She talks about tearing up all the plants and just destroying the house. Bill opens up about his stress in the marriage to the Daily Telegraph, saying, quote, Pam and I haven't lived as man and wife since the murder. We never kiss goodnight or goodbye anymore because it's in her mind that a man did this to Wendy and I'm a man, end quote. It's kind of
That's kind of heartbreaking. Yeah. I mean, super heartbreaking. Not kind of, honestly.
Yeah. Her mother would say that Wendy worked hard at whatever she did. She was in the process of trying to build up this photograph shot from nothing. She just loved her work. She was in a committed relationship, and that would have, been fruitful had this not happened.
Mm-hmm. From the Tunbridge Wells Courier, June 1987, she had died from severe head wounds. Superintendent Rick Rickson said it was a particularly nasty attack on a perfectly normal, respectable young lady who was in work and had a regular boyfriend, he said.
So neighbors reported prowlers and peeping toms in the past.
Okay.
And police automatically go and try to find who that is. Who is the prowler prowling around the neighborhood? Because 5 months later, we would have another sex murder of the same caliber, of the same brutality.
In the same town?
400 yards away.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, this kind of reminds me of that other story that we did where it was like the neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
With the kids on the post?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The kids
that was
down
the
the street.
babysitter.
Oh.
You're talking about that babysitter, McGreevy. She's talking about the black boy.
The football player.
Oh.
Craig Price.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You remember he killed like his two neighbors and
they couldn't figure it out. The FBI had to get involved.
I don't remember that one.
Caroline Pierce is the next victim. November 1987. This is 5 months later. 400 yards away from Super Snaps on Camden Road. This is a 20-year-old who worked at Buster Brown's, a popular restaurant. She went through a, quote, terrifying sexual ordeal by a masked man who burst into her flat. I do not know how they know that he was masked, but it did say that in the paper. She had disappeared. She was not in her apartment when they found her body 3 weeks later. There were reports of screaming, heavy screaming from her doorstep. So she was abducted. We know this is the same guy, though, because of the brutality of the attack, and the investigators could see that she was also raped after death as well. Can you read?
AI just won't tell us how they know that, but that's okay.
Can you read from the BBC? Big blood.
From the BBC, it was 3 weeks before Caroline's body was discovered, 40 miles away, dumped naked apart from her tights in an overgrown drainage ditch on farmland in Romney Marsh on the south coast.
We have two women that are about the same age, living right next to each other pretty much, both dead. Caroline ends up in this drainage ditch right here. She's found 3 weeks later.
They can see post-mortem bruising. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for explaining how post-mortem bruising works.
These two murders, the murder of Caroline Pierce and Wendy Nell, are known as the bedsit murders because they both lived in bedsits, right?
Okay.
The sperm that was found on Caroline's tights would have linked to a killer, but it would take several years. In fact, in 2019 is when we start seeing all the familial DNA. That's with the Golden State Killer, that's the Ancestry.com, the 23andMe, you submit your DNA, and then a relative.
Someone's cousin pops up.
So the sperm sample that they did have that they found on her tights was too damaged to just test for DNA.
What does that
However,
mean?
Of someone in the system.
I'm not a chemist, Jen. I don't know.
Well, like, I guess I just don't understand. Like, it's...
I think it was too damaged. Like it was, so it was found on her tights, but it was, she was in the drainage ditch for 3
Maybe
weeks.
too contaminated or something.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that makes
contaminated or whatever. But So what I'm trying to say is all those years ago, the technology wasn't there, but now we have the familial DNA where you can test a little bit of it and see if it matches to someone in the database, and then you can find out their relative. And that's what happened in 2019.
2019?
Yeah.
This happened in 1987, you said?
Yeah, so about 32 years ago.
Oh, it only took 32 years for them to find the killer, you mean?
Actually, that's really interesting that you said that. Looking through the newspaper archives, if you just type in Wendy Knoll or Caroline Pierce, you'll see multiple arrests throughout the years. And it's kind of ridiculous because it's always like on the anniversary. Oh, police arrest someone in the Wendy Knoll and the Bedsit murders. But then you don't hear anything about it. Obviously, it's not the right guy. But I feel like they're arresting people just to get...
To make it seem like they're making progress?
Exactly. And they're not making any progress, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people think it's kind of conspiracy, but I do think that detectives will do that. They'll go to a prisoner and be like, hey, if you say this, then you get all these perks, and then you can just recant it. You know, we just need the press type of thing.
That is awfully risky for somebody to say yes to, but all right.
I mean, I don't know, man. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it took them 32 years to actually catch the correct person?
Only because...
of this ancestry DNA stuff. Now... I do remember like a meme that I remember seeing right around the time that we did the Golden State Killer case that was something like to the effect of, somewhere out there a serial killer is praying that their cousin does it, or is trying to convince their cousin not to take the ancestry DNA test or something like that.
I just sent a DNA test in for Murphy. I hope I don't find out that he is a serial killer.
Oh, I hope not too. No, he's a good boy.
They'll probably find my DNA inside.
Ew. That's terrible.
Because you're his dad?
Yeah, not because...
Okay, stop.
They
Please
call
don't.
me Mr. Beast.
Don't.
Mr. Beast.
Don't.
Reality.
No.
Mr. Beast.
It's never funny. It's honestly never funny. Always disturbing. Always disturbing.
Your hair looks
All
good,
right.
John. Did you get it cut?
Don't look at that effing hair, Jen. We're trying to do a story
Why?
here.
She's trying to compliment you. You get upset?
The man who committed these two murders has been arrested in 2020. We do know that he worked his entire career as an electrician and a maintenance man working in Navy shipyards. He was
At Bedsits?
No.
Okay.
Although he did live in one of those apartments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I guess they just, I don't know. He was
Didn't look hard enough.
working in Navy shipyards. He was a troubled teen, theft, and arson in 1970s. In the 1970s, he's an older guy. He got caught for quote, creeper burglaries, which is basically prowling and then stealing,
Yeah.
His 2020 arrest, he was living with his third wife and teenage son in West Sussex. Now, I'm going to try to watch the arrest video here. I've never seen it. I wanted to wait till you guys.
Cool.
But there's some other stuff that was found. It's not just these two murders. In fact, these two murders almost seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
Oh.
So let's see if this plays. In 2020, December 4th, 2020, the Kent police finally arrest the man who murdered these two women in 1987.
Okay.
He was living with his third wife in a home in West Sussex. He was even living with his teenage son. This is police going through his personal belongings, and this is the moment where they find a hidden door or something. In this little cabinet. What do you call it? This little dresser, nightstand.
Yeah.
And it's like a hidden drawer.
Oh, is that it in
what I
the
was
back?
reading.
Like maybe it was.
No,
against
it's
the
right
wall?
here, but it's got 4 hard drives in it, and it was purposely hidden, concealed. But this is the moment they find it. Why do they call it torches?
Because that's
Why do
what
they
they
still do
used
that?
to be. like before electricity.
Jen, I swear to God. This is the arrest of David Fuller we're talking about. This is currently in the news. We have talked about this in headlines. He was living with his third wife and teenage son in West Sussex. He had, quote, piles of old computers, hard drives, disc phones, and 34,000 printed photographs, 30 mobile phones, and SIM cards. He had that concealed hard drives in the back of this cabinet. He had obsessively recorded his life since he was a kid. He has all of his invoices from his time as a maintenance man and electrician, and diaries detailing his nights out at restaurants, and photos showing him with his cycling club. He's a bicyclist. But let me actually show you that.
34,000 pictures?
That's a lot of pictures.
So this is him as a bicyclist.
So he's documented all of his crimes, basically.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to find a lot more murders. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, they're definitely going to come out and link him to a lot more. I can promise you that.
Oh yeah.
But this is him right here. You see?
Oh my gosh, he looks like one of my grad school professors.
It probably is.
No, it's not. Oh, now
this
he
is him when he got.
No.
That's him when he got arrested.
The young picture looks like one of them.
All right, so the reason I'm doing this story is because of what they found on his hard drives. Okay, they had a black book that they found containing all the victims' names. A lot of these may just be rape victims, but that was his black book. So he's definitely killed more than those two.
Oh yeah.
Can you read what the BBC said?
When detectives started going through them, they made a sickening discovery. David Fuller had been sexually abusing the bodies of dead people inside the mortuaries of multiple hospitals. Metropolitan Police Detective, I could not comprehend it. My thoughts were very much with Wendy Nell's family and Caroline Pierce's 33 years without justice. But now families are finding out that their loved one, when they should have been safe and afforded dignity in death, suffered at the hands of David Fuller.
So this is the articles that are just coming out, well, in 2021. The double murderer who sexually abused the dead for decades.
Ugh.
So in those,
me even more sick.
In those 4 hard drives, they discovered literally terabytes of videos of him having sex with dead bodies in the morgue. He worked at several hospitals. He had an all-access swipe card because he's a maintenance man.
Oh, God.
And he, quote, visited the mortuary at an alarming rate. No videos from the hospital showed him doing anything, but in those 4 hard drives, they were all filled up with videos of him having sex with dead bodies.
Oh, that almost makes me want to get cremated.
Ew.
Holy shit, that's funny, man. That's
Ew.
crazy. This headline here from the lbc.co.uk is, why do they look dead? Horrifying moment. Police find images of morgue monster defiling corpses. One of the cops says, why do they look dead? Because he doesn't know at the time that what this is.
Oh,
it's just,
my God.
It's just grainy footage of him having sex with bodies. One officer's voice trembles as they inquire, are these ones he's taken? Another officer whispers with a hint of disbelief, why do they look dead? The images they unearthed depict Fuller sexually abusing the bodies of deceased victims. Jesus Christ, man. Nuts, right?
I just, for the sake of the victims,
here's what I was looking for.
Even though they weren't alive anymore, I just wish that there was a fleshlight in the 1980s. That would have been so much easier.
He was doing it up until his arrest.
This is what I was looking for.
He should have bought a fleshlight. I mean, if you...
He's clearly attracted to something other than a fleshlight.
He just likes dead bodies.
He likes dead bodies.
This is what I was looking at. This is going to shock you.
Oh, God. Oh,
Little did they know that these storage devices contained an extensive archive of almost 900,000 files documenting Fuller's grotesque acts of necrophilia carried out at the Tunbridge Wells mortuary. 900,000 files.
How many
That ain't right.
900,000 files.
I do not like that.
It's like did he assault every dead body in the last fucking 20 years?
Did it say if it mattered if it was just female victims, or did he also assault male victims?
It doesn't say, but let's try to find the good in this. I know that sounds terrible, but...
What do you mean?
What are you going to say?
Okay.
At least he wasn't raping people that were alive? That's... No, it's not better. I mean, I guess it is, but it's still not okay.
How did you... Listen, okay? Doing this story, we see that he had 2 victims. Those were his first. They found out quickly that whoever was doing this was more interested in sex after death. Soon after that, this maintenance man applied at the hospital, and for nearly 30 years, he's been a maintenance man at this hospital. So he hasn't been killing people. He's been raping the corpses. So... I mean, I'm not saying that that's better, but...
I appreciate that you're looking for a bright side. I don't think there's a bright side here, to be honest.
While being interviewed, Fuller later tells detectives, "I'm not insane. I may have some sort of residual personality problems."
No, I think we can call...
Which, I've gone a completely almost Christian life.
Oh, come on. Oh, all of a sudden... Jesus forgives my sins. Here we go.
I mean, Jesus does forgive sins, but that doesn't make what he did right.
I don't think Jesus should forgive him for that one.
Actually, it's not really Jesus that does the forgiving. It's God, technically.
He is an ordinary man married with kids.
Can you imagine,
he's not. He's
how
anything
his
but
wife
ordinary.
feels?
He is anything but ordinary. I'm sorry.
I know. Can you imagine how his wife feels for real?
I would have undoubtedly thrown up if I was his wife multiple times when I found this out. Oh my God.
An examination of Fuller's computer hard drive at his home revealed 818,051 images and 504 videos of his abuse, as well as evidence of his, quote, persistent interest in rape, abuse, and murder of women. So, now this goes all the way from the 80s all the way to nowadays to 2022. So kind of crazy, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, he was a good-looking dude too. I mean, this bicycle picture.
No.
I don't know, man. It says this guy he's obviously going to spend the rest of his life in prison. I mean, there's
yeah, I take it Britain doesn't have the death penalty?
Only 81 of the mortuary victims so far have been identified. I was reading this one article about it that...
Can you imagine being the detective on that case trying to figure out who he assaulted?
Do you know how? This is what I was reading.
What?
Looking at the toe tags?
How would you do it? Exactly. They have to zoom in, stop the video, and try to see the toe tags on these dead corpses. So they have to watch.
Could you imagine being the family member of one of these victims? It's terrible enough that you've lost your family member, but now you have to learn that this monster desecrated their corpse.
Well, that's why they're doing it, though, because the family members are obviously, everyone who has died and went through that hospital, every family member's was it my wife or my, whatever.
I almost, I don't know if I would want to know. I feel like I'm torn. The only reason I would want to know is so that I could pursue legal action against him. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to know that my family member...
Are they suing the hospital?
So here's the thing. There is actually a extremely long legal document on what the hospital and hospitals around the UK need to do to prevent this from happening again. It goes in depth. The detectives have to watch every one of those videos and figure out... And there's 504 videos, so they got to watch all 504. And then there's 800 and something thousand, was it 818,000 photos? So they have to look through every one of those photos and try to see a toe tag. I mean, this is through a 30-year time span.
That's brutal.
It's fucking crazy, right? Holy shit.
Yeah.
You know what? I hope that other countries are taking note of that or took note of what is going on. and make sure that only certain people have access to the morgue.
I mean, so he had an all-access pass. So, like, one of the things in the inquest that I was looking at said stuff like, well, you need to monitor if someone's going into the mortuary
a lot
at an alarming rate, because they could see that. They could see how many times he's been going in, but there was no alert. It's like, this guy may be, doing this a lot for some reason. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he's going to die in prison.
Yeah.
Well,
but they are trying to make changes to the hospital, but anyway.
That is beyond unfortunate.
There's a so this is like phase 1. This is what I was talking about. Phase 1 of the independent inquiry into the issues raised by the David Fuller case. Phase 1 report. I mean, it's a whole thing too. Like, it says like, this is all the stuff that should have happened, should not have happened,
no one deserves that, but wouldn't it be ironic if someone did that to him after he died in prison?
I don't think he would care.
Feels fair.
I mean, who cares? Like, he's not going to care,
Well, John, you continue to shock us, so thank
you for this birthday gift. Okay. Well, thank you guys for spending time with me on my birthday so I wasn't alone.
Oh my God. Stop it.
I'm serious.
I'm gonna hit you.
What? That sounded
pathetic, because it is. That's okay.
Not pathetic, just
sad. Same thing. Anyway.
What? What are you looking at?
You know why I'm looking at you.
I am not me.
That was me.
I was laughing later. Bye.
Oh, bye, Jen. We love you. Happy birthday. Kind of run this shit.